Knife sharpening. Today I'm going to be doing just a quick demonstration of the ways that we set up our knives for sharpening, and also demonstrate a few other common ways, both the Tormek's newest jig that they use to set your knives up on the machine, the old plastic one that ships with most Tormeks, and a lot of people have these lying around. And then we'll talk about a fixed projection method that we use, and I'll demonstrate how within a few minutes we're able to very rapidly set up knives of different widths. So if you've got a knife that's an inch, maybe an inch wide, and then a knife that's 2.5 inches wide, with the two Tormek provided methods, you end up having to raise and lower the USB bar. So I'll demonstrate that, and we'll hopefully this will be useful for some of you, and show you just a way to hopefully speed up your knife sharpening and do it even more accurately than Tormek provides. So thanks. All right, so what we're looking at is a set of knives. These are actually just practice knives I have for my employees, and I have a few different knives of different sizes, and a few different ways that that Tormek has that provided over the years to allow us to do setup. So the first one is this this little jig that you set the diameter, or the diameter of the wheel, and then the desired knife angle that you want, and then you take this and use it to set up your height of your USB bar. The other one is this newer device that they've got, and it basically sets on the, I'll show you how it works. It sets on the Tormek USB bar, and you put the knife in here, and depending on how far this pushes in, it'll tell you what angle you're at, and then you can adjust the height of the USB bar. We use a slightly different way to do sharpening. We use something called fixed projection, and I'll go over here and just show you how that works really quickly. So what we've got here is a block, and on this block I've marked a few different measurements. So we have a bar here that allows us to set a 1 a 90-degree angle, and then two, we've got 130 millimeters, 140 millimeters, and 150 millimeters. What we do is we put the knife in the jig, and we typically set it to 140 millimeters because that's what we measure everything to. Because we do that, this method, we're able to all we're doing is changing the projection length of the jig to get it to 140 millimeters, and then everything else gets to stay the same, because if you're at 140 millimeters, we know through trigonometry that this can stay the same height. We don't have to ever change the height of the bar unless we're not at 140 millimeters, if we want an 18-degree angle. So there's a couple of apps out there that allow you to figure out the measurements for all of this stuff, but we set it to 140 millimeters, and then we have a little chart up here that allows us to determine based on the diameter of the wheel, what the height of the bar needs to be. So in this case, the height to the top of the bar is about 160 millimeters, and so with that, we're able to keep that projection the same length, and we can just go through our sharpening very quickly, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So let's first take a look at how the other setups work, and let me just reposition the tripod, and we'll get going from there. All right, so let's take a look at how knife is typically set up using one of the Tormek methods. I'll just put a knife into my jig. I'm just going to square it up on this, and I can actually measure it. I'm going to square it up like this, and then I'm going to put it on here and get the newer device that Tormek has built that I find to be very clunky, and these are all my opinions. You've got to put it on that side of the bar, and then you put your knife into here, and when I rest it down like this, and see, this is the kind of thing that happens with this thing. It's very particular. I'm not making this look harder than it actually is. It really is kind of a pain in the ass. So right now, if we look down here, we are at about 20 degrees. And so I would, in order for me to set this up properly, I would need to then raise or lower the bar by loosening these knobs and then moving this bar up and down until this measurement read my desired 18 degrees. So that's that one. That wasn't a great demonstration, but this is kind of a clunky thing that I'm not a big fan of. So anyway, that's what that is. The other way to do this is to take your knife, and on this one I am actually going to set it to, just to show you how it works. So I'm set to, I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to rest the curved edge on the wheel, and then this is supposed to match up. You would raise or lower the bar to match your angle. This works. It's not super accurate. They ship these with the Tormeks, so a lot of people have them. I find it to be, you don't have very precise control over the size of the wheel or the angle, so it works okay, but it's not great if you're sharpening a lot of knives. The thing I don't like about those two methods is that the way you're changing your setup is by moving this bar up and down, and that requires undoing the knobs and then turning this or lifting it up and spinning it to the point where you want it to be, and that takes a long time. So if I'm going to do this set of customer knives, I've got ones that are thin, medium, wider, another one that's kind of medium, and so I want to be able to do these quickly, and if I can put them in order and kind of do this raising of the bar or lowering of the bar in a kind of ordered way, but that still takes setup time every time I do it. So I'm just going to show you really quickly, without sharpening these, how quickly I can set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knives of different sizes. So let's go take a look at that real quick. All right, here I am with my block. I've got my jig, and this is a special jig where I've done this blue piece is a modification that we make that allows you to replace the standard KJ45 model. And there are a couple of things people often point out when I'm showing this, is that this is free spinning, and some people like that, some people don't. In subsequent versions, or optionally, I've created ones that there's an O-ring so it doesn't freely spin anymore. So I can take this off and I can show you that O-ring. Sorry, that one doesn't have it. So this one, the O-ring on these looks like this. So these are the O-rings that I put on there, and that allows this to not freely spin. My staff and I find that this free spinning aspect allows us to work a lot faster, and you're able to also just hold it in place after some practice, and so you get we've become very used to having it free spinning, and it doesn't cause us much of a problem. So let's do a quick setup of some of these. Readjust this. tripod a little bit, so it's out of the way. And so, okay, I'm going to time myself on setting up 5 knives of different sizes. So let's do set a timer here, a stopwatch. Okay, I'm going to set up 5 knives. I'm going to take this one out, so I'm not cheating. And I'm going to just take them in whatever order they are in the thing here. I have sort of no tricks up my sleeve here, so I'm not going to sharpen them, but I'm just going to set them up, and that's really the savings in time you get by using this method. So okay, let's go. Start. So I'm just moving this to 140 millimeters, squaring it up, pulling the block down to 140 millimeters. Set that up so that it's got the apex of the edges there. That's 1. So now I can go sharpen this. 1. Let's do this one. 2. I can go sharpen that. Now I'm going to go from a very large one to a very small one. 3. I can go sharpen that now. 4. 5. 1 minute and 8 seconds to set 5 knives up. And that's it. I could, that's if I were to use those other methods, it would take me a lot longer, and it would be a lot more fidgety and a lot more frustrating. So I really like this method, and that's why I've created these jigs that I sell, these retrofit jigs that I sell, because it really does save a huge amount of time when you're sharpening knives in kind of this production way. I am working on, there are a couple of things that I am working on. A new version right now of this. Is now in production. Should be available in the next 6 weeks or so. And it's got a few different modifications that I think people will really enjoy. I'll do a different video about that though. So those are the 3 methods for setting up. There's the Tormek's little jiggy thing. I don't know what it's even called. Anyway, I don't use it. There's Tormek's old plastic thing that works okay, but it's also, it's a little fidgety too. And again, you're raising or lowering the bar to set the right angle. I don't use it. We just use this block, the wood, 140 millimeters, and a set height for the USB. That's all we do. Thanks.